Hello everyone! Today we're going to be building a simple web project using some of the foundational tools of web development. This is going to be a 3-part video series taking us through how we can create the structure, style and some interactivity of a web page using HTML, CSS and JavaScript, which are the 3 core technologies of the World Wide Web. Hi, my name's Sarah. I'm a software developer. My pronouns are she and her, and today I'm filming from the lands of the Paramake people, where sovereignty was never ceded. I pay my respect to elders past, present and emerging. I work with Code Like a Girl to provide education and opportunities to help us all become equal creators in building the future. Part 1 is creating structure. In this first part, we're going to be setting up our workspace and learning some of the basics of HTML. HTML stands for Hypertext Markup Language. Hypertext refers to the links that connect web pages to each other, and markup is used to annotate text, images, and other content so they can be displayed in a web browser. Before we can start coding, we need to set up our workspace. And today I'm going to be using a tool called Code Sandbox, which is something that will allow me to develop right in the browser. So I'm going to Code Sandbox and I'm going to create a free sandbox. And I'm going to choose a template called static. This is an HTML5 static template. It comes pre-populated with a few different files, as well as a few different tags and some content already in here. Let's have a look at the files here in our File Explorer. The package and the sandbox are just kind of configuration files that I don't really need. The one that I'm really concerned with is index.html. The index.html file is the default file for a website. It's the page that serves as the index for the rest of the site. So for example, if you go to a website like codelikeagirl.com, the browser is going to look for the index.html file to serve up first as the home page. Let's have a look at what's going on in this index file that's been pre-populated by this template. So on line 1, we have a doctype declaration, which tells the browser that this is an HTML website. We have our HTML opening and closing tags. That's the root element of our document. It's the container for everything that we're going to put into it. We have our opening and closing head tags. And in that area, in between the opening and closing head tags, we're going to put meta tags, our title tag, and some other tags that will help us link to our CSS style sheet and JavaScript script file that we'll be working on later. We have our opening and closing body tags, and in between here is where we're going to put all of the content that the user is going to see and interact with. So headings, paragraphs, text, images, that sort of thing. And lastly, we have an H1 tag, and that's a heading 1. In HTML, we have 6 levels of headings, and H1 is the most important. So let's talk quickly about the anatomy of an HTML tag. A tag has an opening tag, 1 or more attributes and corresponding values. It typically has some content and then a closing tag, although some tags are self-closing. So in the example of an A tag, which is an anchor or a link tag, the tag is the whole thing, which includes the opening and the closing tag. The element is the A, which is referring to the anchor element. The attribute is the href. The href stands for hypertext reference, and the value of the attribute is the URL itself. And in between the opening and closing tags, we have the content that the user is actually going to see on screen. So now we have some theory covered, let's get coding. The first thing I want to do is change the content of my H1 tag, and I'm just going to change that to say hello world. If I hit Control S, it'll save my document and refresh the browser view so I can see my changes already are starting to take place. I'm going to add in an A tag like we talked about before. And an A tag is a link, and this is going to link us to the Code Like a Girl website. Control S, and I can see that my link has now appeared in my browser. I'm going to add in one more tag, and the one I'm going to add is called a main tag. And this tells my browser that everything between the main opening and closing tags are the main content of my document. And this is useful for a couple of reasons. It's useful for the browser to know the structure of a web page because it can use that to make certain decisions. And it can also be used to target content in our style sheet and in our JavaScript files, which we're going to add now. So I'm going to create 2 new files in my file system. One is going to be called styles.css. This is my CSS file. We're going to talk about that in the next video. And the other file I'm going to add is scripts.js. Now, unlike the index.html file, it doesn't really matter what you call these. The important thing is that you link to them in your HTML document. So in the head of my HTML, I'm going to add a link tag to call my style sheet. And just before the closing body tag of my document, I'm going to add in a script tag to call in that JavaScript file. So we can't see any changes from those files that we've added in just yet, but that's because those files are still empty. Make sure you watch the next 2 videos to see how we're going to style this page and give it a bit of interactivity. HTML is really fun to learn and there are over 100 tags you can learn, so I strongly encourage you to continue on your learning journey. If you're really interested in web development, Code Like a Girl is running Intro to Web Development courses, so I'll put the link for those in the description of this video. I'll also put the source code for this page in the description so you can follow along if you want to. Good luck on your coding journey. Please connect with us on social media to see more from Code Like a Girl. Thank you so much to everybody who makes Code Like a Girl possible. If you have any questions or tips for web development, please let us know in the comments and we'll see you next time. Keep coding. See you later. Bye.